Professor Onyx, Brawl Deck Tech. Hey everyone, it's VmCampos, Magic Fan, and I've got a brand new deck tech video for you. It features Professor Onyx in an amazing Brawl deck tech. If you like the video, consider clicking the join button here on YouTube. If you can't quite pledge at the moment, no worries. Enjoy the video, but don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So what this video is about is using the latest and greatest mono black Planeswalker to make a fun, powerful Brawl deck. I'll show you my version of the deck, but you can also tell me in the comments how you'd improve it, how you'd turn it into a full commander deck, for example. Us mono black players have got to stick together. Let's get on with the deck tech. Alright, so switching to Arena, let's look at the deck. The jewel of the deck is Professor Onyx, 6 mana, legendary Planeswalker Liliana, 5 loyalty, and she's got Magecraft. Whenever you cast a spell or copy it, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. So the big idea with this deck is to cast Professor Onyx, as soon as possible, and get to that -8. That's almost an automatic win condition, that -8. But that seems like a lot of effort? Not to worry, here's how we'll get to that. First of all, her +1. You lose 1 life, but then you get to look at the next 3 cards that are coming out of your library and keep 1, put the rest into your graveyard. So pick the best card that's coming 3 turns in advance. -3, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. Now, if the opponent only has 1 creature, that creature's dead, -3 the end. If they have more than 1 creature, it's not going to be as good, but guess what, we're going to have other removal to deal with their creatures. Because ultimately, when we get to -8, each opponent may discard a card from their hand. If they don't, they lose 3 life, and then repeat this process 6 more times. If you do some quick math, you'll figure out that's an instant kill. So let's see how I built this deck in order to get to your Planeswalker and then your ultimate as soon as possible. Spoiler alert, there are no creatures in this deck, but there's a lot of answers. This is a black control type of deck. Let's see what we've got. Tormod's Crypt, 0 mana artifact that exiles the opponent's graveyard, perfect for opponents that deal with a lot of graveyard shenanigans like mutate creatures and so forth. Soul Guide Lantern to do the same thing, but then also automatically exile a card, and if you don't need to deal with their graveyard, instead draw a card. Agonizing Remorse, look at the opponent's hand, wipe out anything you want out of it, lose a little bit of life, so you get to see what's coming in their hand and also really disrupt them. Feed the Swarm, get rid of any creature that's causing you trouble, or enchantment. There's a lot of enchantments running around in Brawl. Here's an amazing spell that will just take care of it. Lose a little life, who cares? Forever Young, we've got a few card draw spells, a pretty efficient 2 mana. This one, Forever Young, 2 mana, draw a card, basically. There's other text there, something about creatures, we don't care about creatures. 2 mana, draw a card. Plumb the Forbidden, there's also some other stuff there, who cares what that says, but it's 2 mana, draw a card, lose 1 life. Arcane Signet, a mana rock to be able to ramp in your commander as soon as possible. Play this on turn 2, just get to your commander faster than your opponent. Golden Egg, 2 mana, draw a card, and then later on crack the egg, make a nice omelet, and gain some life. Mazemind Tome, 2 mana, scry to see what's coming in the future, pay 2 mana to draw a card, eventually when you've got 4 counters on this, gain life. Sleeper Dart, 2 mana, draw a card, and also tap down one of your opponent's troublesome creatures so that it doesn't bother you for a turn. Spare Supplies, another 2 mana, draw a card, comes in tap, later on sacrifice it to draw another card. So you're seeing here a lot of efficient 2 mana draw cards plus other fun stuff. Forbidden Fruit, 3 mana, draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. If you pay this with the adamant cost, meaning pay it all with black mana, and the whole mana base is black mana, you get a food, so then you can eat the food and gain back life. Go Blank, 3 mana, target player discards 2 cards, then exile their graveyard. So more graveyard exiling powers right here, but also helping to whittle down their hand so they have less answers versus your own deck. Plus amazing Wiley Beckert art. Memory Leak, 3 mana, but instead look at their hand and then take what you want. If you don't actually need this anymore later in the game, cycle it, pay 1 mana, get rid of this card and draw another card for a better answer. Farika's Libation, another get rid of an enchantment sort of spell. This one's an instant, and it targets a creature or an enchantment of the opponent's choice. Grim Tutor, 3 mana to go get the perfect spell that you need versus the opponent, lose a little life. Heraldic Banner. It's one of the mana rocks. You should always build a Brawl deck with mana rocks, not just relying on your lands, but also mana rocks or artifacts that'll get you more mana faster than the opponent. Introduction to Prophecy, one of the new Strixhaven cards. 3 mana, scry 2, draw 1 card. Beautiful colorless spell, fits into many Brawl decks. 3 mana, see the future, draw a card. One of the latest mana rocks, Letter of Appreciation, 3 mana, tap it for any color of mana, and then later on, if you don't need that extra mana, pay 2, sacrifice it, draw a card. Replicating Ring, I love this one. 3 mana, mana rock, and then it slowly puts counters on itself, and when you've got 8 counters, you suddenly have 9 mana rocks. It's amazing. What's not amazing is the crushing disappointment that your opponent will experience. 4 mana instant, each player loses to life, but then you draw 2 cards. Eat to Extinction, deal with your opponent's creature or planeswalker by exiling it. None of this, put it into the graveyard where people will get it back. Just get out of here permanently. Plus, you get to Surveil, you get to look at the next card coming. If you don't like it, put it in the graveyard or keep it at the top. Extinction Event, one of these board wipes. Choose odd or even, exile everything of that value, including tokens. Remember, tokens are 0. Get rid of all those Scute Swarms. Feed the Serpent, another instant to get rid of a creature or planeswalker. Exile, make it much more permanent than just to destroy. Obviously, you can have things like Murder and Poison Cup, but exile is going to be way better for a game like Brawl, where they go longer and there's more recursion happening. Not only do we have one Liliana in this deck, we've got all the Lilianas that are currently in Standard. So Liliana, Waker of the Dead, 4 mana, 4 loyalty, +1. Each player discards a card. Each opponent who cannot loses 3 life. So if you've disrupted their hand enough, they might not have anything to discard, they lose 3 life. If they still have cards in hand, they're going to have to make the ultimate decision to get rid of cards from their hand. It also affects you, so be careful. Obviously do this when you don't have much to lose in your own hand. -3. Target creature gets -X/-X, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. This gets rid of indestructible creatures. -X will deal with indestructible creatures. Now you do have to have a stocked graveyard in order to do that. That shouldn't be too much trouble. -7, the ultimate, you get an emblem, which at the moment is currently something in Magic that there's no way for the opponent to deal with. This emblem, at the beginning of combat, on your turn, put target creature from any graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and it gains haste. Our Professor Onyx deck has no creatures, so that's why we're going to borrow the opponent's creatures once we ultimate Liliana, Waker of the Dead. We'll give him a better home. Coveted Prize, another tutor to go get any card that you want. There's something here about Party, it's not going to really apply, but 5 mana to go get any card that you need at that moment. I think that's nice. Deadly Alliance, 5 mana to destroy a creature or planeswalker. There's another thing about Party here that doesn't matter, but I wanted this to just get rid of another planeswalker instantly. Finishing Blow, another destroy target creature or planeswalker, another instant, another 5 mana, just more answers in the deck to get rid of the opponent's threats. Shadow's Verdict, a board wipe for little things. Everything of a mana value of 3 or less gets removed from the battlefield, as well as the graveyard. Exile. Tergrid's Shadow, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. Our creatures will have no trouble because we have no creatures, but this will obviously get rid of 2 of the opponent's creatures if they start to build a board state. Foretell it, so that you only have to pay 4 instead of 5. A brand new Strixhaven card that you shouldn't sleep on. 5 mana, Introduction to Annihilation, Sorcery, Lesson. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller draws a card. Yes, giving an opponent a card is bad, but this will help deal with things that Black has a hard time dealing with, such as artifacts. Artifacts are very hard to deal with in a mono-black deck. This colorless card will let you exile any non-land permanent. So their pesky Great Henge, their own Arcane Signet, their commander that they're never attacking with, exile any non-land permanent. I think the downside of giving them a card is not so bad, especially for 5 mana. It'd be perfect if it was an instant, but maybe in Strixhaven 2 one day. Bad deal for your opponent here? 6 mana, you draw 2 cards, the opponent discards 2 cards, and then you both lose 2 life. I love it. Blood on the Snow, wipe the board in case things are getting out of control on their side. Here's another Liliana, 6 mana, 4 loyalty, +1, return up to 1 target creature from your graveyard to your hand. There's no creatures to return. You could put some creatures in, maybe Grey Merchant of Asphodel to keep it coming back and draining. But the -3 is what we care about. Destroy a creature, and then they lose 2 life. -7, target opponent loses 2 life for each creature card in their graveyard. If you've been playing things right, and killing their stuff as the game goes on, and summon Liliana Death Mage, and then the ultimate, their own creatures in their graveyard could be the final kill. And then Ugin, this is just an auto-include. You're going to have the inevitability of getting to 8 mana, no problem, and it's such an amazing Planeswalker. It's Mythic, +2. Ugin deals 3 damage to any target, directly to the opponent, to their Brawlmmander, to their creature, whatever. -X, exile each permanent with mana value of X or less that's 1 or more colors. It's not going to affect any of your stuff. All of our permanents are colorless, but it's definitely going to affect the opponent, and you could do a -7 on this if you really need it. Most likely you'll be doing a -4 and really wiping the board very well for the opponent. In the -10, you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put up to 7 permanents from your hand onto the battlefield. So put all those mana rocks, put all those life gain artifacts, if you can ultimate Ugin. And then the mana base is simple, 22 swamps, we've got an Evolving Wilds and a Fabled Passage, and those are for some deck thinning so that we can get the lands out of our deck faster and get to the good stuff. And that's the deck. Professor Onyx's class is in session. We have a lot of black cards here that will really mess with the opponent, destroying their creatures, whittling their hand down, just dealing with their threat so that Professor Onyx can sit back and do her thing and get that -8. If you play your cards right, that -8 should not be too difficult to get to, and it'll be so satisfying when she gets to the 8, you minus her, goes back to the command zone, but no problem because you've already finished off the opponent with -21 damage. You're quite erudite, Professor Onyx. And that was the deck. What do you think? How would you improve it? How would you make it more powerful? How would you make it more flavorful? How would you turn it into a full-fledged commander deck? Tell me all about it in the comments below. And once again, if you enjoyed this video or my other content, consider pressing join here on YouTube to become part of the VmCrew. I have various tiers. There's the Mars Rover tier at 99 cents, the Jupiter Cruiser tier at $2.99, and the Neptune Colony at $4.99. You unlock various things if you pledge at those various tiers. At the 99-cent tier, you unlock all the exclusive content that I produce here on YouTube. At the $2.99 tier, I'll actually give you a shout-out in a video. And at the $4.99 tier, I'll mail you real-life stuff, magic cards, and the like in appreciation. If you can't pledge at the moment, no worries. Simply like, comment, share, follow, ring the bell, battle the Minotaur, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you in the Biblioplex.